Good now to you. We are pleased to be meeting with you in this fashion and are eager to discuss with you anything you so choose that will help you to know more of yourself. Hello.
Hello. I'm so happy to know myself more today with your help. I have a very personal question about my brother, or I would say my relationship with my brother. Specifically, I've done a lot of work like accepting, etc. And that part. I want to ask specifically about this financial support that I sometimes uh, give him because he went through this financial trouble because of his business a few years ago. Um, Now he has to pay a lot of debt. He's doing his best to come back with a new business and etc. So, and with debt as part of his, financial obligation almost monthly, I started supporting him, not in a completely regular on a regular basis, but I do support him. Can you say something about that? What is the highest perspective and, way to do this or come from to do this?
Yes, so
When
as you know, finance is no different than any other aspect of energy. It is often given much importance compared to other energy forms. But when there is a relationship that does have exchange in its modalities, and all do, but that does have exchange, the only thing that you can or we would advise to be aware of is whether or not that exchange is fulfilling both parties. In other words, if you are helping your brother in this way, and in exchange for that help, you are feeling good and your vibration is sustained in a good space, and you feel that there is enough being reciprocated in forms of other benefit to your experience from the other self that is part of this equation, then there is no specific need to change the arrangement that you have. However, we suspect that there is some level of question in you about whether or not this is something that is appropriate long term. This would not be in your field if you did feel completely fulfilled by the arrangement that you are in now. So we will ask you, what is it about this relationship or this arrangement within this relationship that is causing discomfort for you in this now moment?
I think predominantly it's judgment. I've been working on that because I think meaning I would I would subconsciously, now I observe myself, I would at times, that actually prompted that occasion prompt me to ask
Hey
this question
everyone, I
today
hope you enjoyed
actually,
that
is
clip.
that
Please
after
don't forget to
I
like,
give him the money,
subscribe, hit
I
the
would
bell
feel,
icon, leave a comment, and
um,
engage with this content as much as
I was
possible.
slipped into the
See you again soon.
subconscious judgmental side of myself of about him not, for example, working hard enough, being, mm, you know, all kinds of, I don't think it's valid anyway. If you know what I mean. So I think that's the issue. I think where I feel probably slightly entitled to judgment, but I could catch myself after that incident. I could catch myself process my feelings about along with judgment, and after that, I think I feel mostly good. This is actually a question I wanted to ask last time, but I didn't get to ask. So I feel now, as I give him so far recently, not that I have given him so much, is that I do feel expanded. I do feel loving. I do feel joyful. I feel empowered. I feel empowering. I feel loving. But I get your question. I think the key issue was, and also I will still keep observing myself of anything within me that's judging him, because I give him, this energy form. I would feel easily triggered into judgment.
Yes, we will also say that you can begin to reframe this circumstance as if the financial sum that you are lending or gifting, depending upon your arrangement, to this being is the direct cost of having this aspect of judgment in yourself revealed to you. So indeed, you are paying in some ways for this lesson. You are and have been purchasing the access to these aspects of yourself that are in judgment. We will also remind you that he, being another self, means not so much that you are judging him, but that you are also simultaneously revealing to yourself the spaces in which you will not give yourself permission to have fluid and judgment-free action. In other words, if you are giving money to someone who does need in this now moment money, who you know is capable of at some point coming out of their financial situation, and it simply has been a turn of bad luck temporarily for them to have their soul growth in whatever way that is being stimulated, then you can also see that there is some aspect of you in yourself that would not allow you to ask for that same amount of help should you ever find yourself in that sort of position, or who would have a hit to one's self-esteem through that nature of self-judgment if you at any point, and not only in financial means but in other aspects, ever needed to have that handout or what you are perceiving of as a handout within your life. So are there areas in your life in which you could see that there may be the potential to accept more readily the gifts that others would like to give you?
Completely. As you were saying, I'm already aware of the flip side. I mean, basically they are reflecting for me. I mean, my brother is reflecting for me where I do not allow myself to be not judged by myself
Yes.
when
So
I am in that situation. Yes.
it is a question of learning where you can expand into allowing yourself to receive. And this can also be not only from other beings, but also from the gifts that the universe has lined up for you that you do not perceive yourself to be in direct merit of.
Wow, that is so big. I mean, meaning so expansive. Yes. Can you provide me even more like poking clues that I'm not aware of?
Yes, there's an
I
aspect within you that believes that you do need to prove or work to be able to access the gifts that are in the wings that are waiting to be delivered to you.
Oh, that makes me want to cry.
Well, then, you are perceiving of a difference between your belief system and the way your inner being feels about that same thing. Your inner being is 100% aware that you are in merit of everything and do not need to even work for everything that it is in your heart's desire. But your personal human self is in a state of exchange or believing that there is a payment to be had to the universe. It is okay that that belief is there, but it might be a question of you being ready to let go of and to simply accept in your fullness that you have been chosen to be here in this existence. You have been chosen to experience your joy. You have been chosen to have this human incarnation, and that that in itself is enough.
Thank you for the
Thank
reminder.
you.
Yes, that was perfect. More than I asked for.
There is so much more than you are asking for available for you.
Thank you.
We thank you.
Wow, I love that so much. I think this is so closely tied to what I want to ask about today. I want to ask a lot about the path of a master. A master receives energy in ease and grace, in complete grace. Um, as you were just saying, there's no earning, there's no working for it. Can you say something about that? I mean, I'm gonna say more because in very early stage of my awakening, I felt called. I mean, I was obviously led to a channel book called The Act of Consciousness. Basically, it's a teaching from another ascended master on earth in the past. It's a channeled book. I felt such a strong resonance. I feel this is the path I want to lead, I want to live, or I want to eventually embody as an live as an embodied master on earth. I always come back to that teaching. As you know, I would, find something and then enrich my understanding, my evolution, and then I would always come back. Recently, I come back to their teaching. It feels so beautiful. Can you say something about that? Passive master, allow energy to serve us.
It is very much about allowing. It is very much about, and you have studied this as well, the letting go of the concept of separation, what can be known of as ego. Because once you do let go of that concept, you can understand yourself to be simply, not simply, it is quite complex, but beautifully, a mechanism in the machine of that same energy that is the all that is. At that point, in the knowing of, you do reach an ascension aspect. You do reach a point where you do become the instrument of the universe, and then therefore can access and are given or played through things that are not of what is perceived of as normal experiencing. It is that grace, yes, but grace does need to be invited and accepted and received when it is arriving, because it can be resisted. You do have free will. And the majority of beings do choose to resist grace through the desire that they have instead of coming to a stage of self-acceptance first, of course. There are those that are in a space of perhaps such desperation that when this wave does arrive, and it does arrive constantly, by the way, it is your existence itself. When this wave does arrive on some special occasion, or what seems to be a special occasion, that they are simply knocked off of what is called their ego and into a state of complete grace. You do hear of this in religious stories because it is much more sudden. But there are people such as you who are working in that direction and are choosing moment to moment to let go on a subtler level of these aspects of separation within them. And that mastery is claimed one piece at a time.
I love everything you said. I feel complete resonant with what you said.
We are glad.
um Now I want to ask what they emphasize so much on. I feel it's just very interesting. It also helped me, especially at this stage right now, to understand how reality works or what it is like. We always hear channeled, beings like you teach us or remind us that everything, for example, everything is me in my reality. Basically, according to this ascended masters, that everything in my reality is my energy.
Yes.
Even if I perceive you right now, for example, Jesse and you, I'm actually perceiving my own energy. Basically, I'm getting a version of you, but not exactly you. So you are sort of like a shadow of Jesse and Vagrein in my projected onto my energy field, so I can perceive it.
Yes.
I love that so much. I just want to savor it. And I think it makes so much sense because I think it gives me a visceral feeling of what it really means. Like sort of like connecting dots on this thing you are all teaching us, like everything is me. Now
Yes, it is.
I can viscerally feel, oh my God, everything is me because it's all my energy. So basically I'm not really talking to you. I'm actually talking to me, my energy. Is there
Yes,
anything?
that is correct. And the only thing that we would perhaps have you adjust in your understanding of it is the word shadow could be replaced with a echo or a onion skin.
Okay, good.
For there really is no existence outside of yourself. When you are playing with this concept in your mind, you are not believing that the thing that you're perceiving of is you in the same way you perceive of your identity, which also, by the way, is in constant state of flux.
Mm.
You are perceiving it and feeling this resonance because when you are playing with this idea, you are identifying in that moment more so with the aspects of you that are not physical than you are with the aspect of you that is physical. This particular jump is not necessarily possible to someone who completely identifies with their physical beingness. But you have seen beyond the veil of understanding that you are not or are less so physical than you are non-physical. You are not much different from any entity group that you can perceive. In fact, you, like you have said correctly, are each entity group that you can perceive because nothing can exist outside of your own perception. Because you have also perceived of other beings existing, in your perception of them existing, you have indeed created their perception of existing. We know that that is also a hard concept to understand. So, for example, if you are sitting next to someone on a bus, both of you exist, but it's because both of you have created each other. This is how creation is. Nothing can exist without everything else, including everything that is not within your imagination scope in this now moment. So you are looking at this infinite, fantastic tapestry where everything is woven together, and if even one thread was pulled from it, the whole thing would fall apart into a pile of strings. But it is not a pile of strings because of the beauty of the creation of the creators, or creator, or isness of what us is. You have decided to have expansion as the game that you are playing.
Wow, that is so consciousness expanding, particularly that point that when you were saying on the bus, someone sitting beside me, we both created each other.
Yes.
I think I need to integrate that point a bit more, but I do so resonate what you said about when I understood this point of everything is me, everything's my energy. I do identify myself beyond this human identity.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I love that. And with that, with all this, earlier you were saying this mastery path of letting go all the limitation, binding us to this limited perspective of ourselves as a human being. Is there anything else that we can benefit from? For example, creation, allow energy to serve us. From that perspective, what can we benefit from knowing everything is our energy? For example, I listened to your very early on channeling. This is a very basic law of attraction teaching of if we shift our core frequency, let me just say frequency, we can basically jump to a different timeline or a different reality. How does that connect to the energy? Everything in my reality right now is my energy. Can you connect these two so that we or I or we understand it more thoroughly?
Yes, you are already in the process of connecting it. We will help you with that last part.
Yes.
As you disidentify with limitation, and limitation was a good word to use, so we thank you for suggesting it. As you disidentify with any form of limitation, you are consistently zooming out from the pinhole perspective. If you can imagine a cylinder, perhaps the roll of toilet paper, capped top and bottom, with holes poked in it, small holes. You can imagine your human life as you or an aspect of the light within that shining out from one of the holes, but from the perspective of the light within. So the shining out will see that side of the roll of paper and it will see what is going on. And as that roll of paper exists in a universe that it is creating outside of it, projecting outside of it, it is perceiving of that particular pinhole. As you are studying your path and getting to know yourself as a non-physical being more and more frequently, what is happening is you as the beam of light are moving closer towards the center of the source of the light. As you get closer to the source of the light, you begin to not only see what is projected through the holes in this roll of toilet paper, but some of the wall of the holes, some of the other holes that are within proximity to the hole that you're accustomed to looking out of. And in terms of proximity, you can imagine that, for example, if we will use centimeters in this case because of the form of the analogy we're using, if you can imagine that the next pinhole outside of the roll of toilet paper is 2 centimeters along the wall of the cardboard within it, to the left, and now you can see your first hole and this second one, you will see that through them, things look very similar. The closer you get to the center of this roll, the more you can look around. And as you look around, you might turn 180 degrees upon yourself and look outside of a hole that is on the other side of this roll. Now, we are talking about the same room. We are talking about the same environment, the same situations going on in the room, but now you are not at all able to see the version of reality that was out of the first hole and are now staring at the one completely behind it. Now imagine the universe to have infinite numbers of rolls of toilet paper holes. And imagine yourself to be able to zoom continuously towards the center and the source of all that is. At some point, you are indeed able to begin to look out of a hole that looks completely different. And this is how you can explain, for example, time travel. This is how you can explain astral projection. This is how you can explain some of your masters or your monks or your sages being in 2 places at the same time. It is because they themselves have disassociated with limitation to such a point that they are able to zoom very close or closer than the majority of humans towards the center of the source of all that is, and then play with the mechanics of existence itself. We will remind you also that once you are individuated, even these beings are still also, no matter when they are playing this game, staring out through another pinhole that is their perception of their experience of being the master in that moment. So when we say that existence is fractal, we very much mean it. It does not matter how much you zoom in or out. It is always the same. But there are different experiences to be had in different proximities to the source energy that you are. Interestingly as well, because of the infinite nature of all that is, you never can get to the source of sourceness while you are in individuation. But fear not, because you ultimately already are there as the all that is.
Yes. I love it. So basically, there's no need even to talking about shifting frequency, because letting go of limitation does that.
Yes, letting go of limitation is an automatic way to shift frequency because your frequency is only ever off because you are believing in limitation.
Yes, I love it. It's so good. So
We thank
simple
you.
and so oh, I love it. Mm. This is so good. I don't know where to go now even. Okay, yes, I'm gonna ask that. I want to bring it all back to me because that's how I can master it. So I can, even spread what I experience as quote unquote wisdom to guide others. So what is, after all this, is there something I'm not aware of about me? Whether it's about the path of mastery or any other aspect that I can benefit from knowing? aware of, working on, letting go of.
So here is the aspect about asking about what you do not yet know. Let us remind you that you are creating everything that you are perceiving of. So if there is something that you do not know, how could you possibly create it for you to be an answer? And if we were to give you an answer, would it not already be something that you already know?
Yes. So basically, yes, please.
You have infinite access to wisdom, to self-awareness, to knowledge, to truth. That is always, and this is not only, we are not only directing this at you, but anyone who would hear, you always only have limitation where you yourself are choosing to create it. Therefore, if you want to be omniscient about yourself, which you do not ultimately, let us be honest, you are enjoying the journey of uncovering.
Yes.
So if you were to want to, which you don't, but if you were to want to, you do have access to everything you need to know. We will also say that the mechanism that you are is extremely intelligent and will only give you the information on a need to know basis. It is like a military operation almost. You will get your classified information on your desk on Monday as soon as you need it for your next orders.
Yes. I was just using the occasion to ask higher intelligence like Vagrein. But I so understand what you say. I think it's something I constantly remind myself, not trying to say I'm so wise, but I think I understand that. I think I am absolutely, truthfully, I absolutely enjoy every bit of the uncovering, the journey of um, becoming a master on earth. That's what as I was saying earlier, I so enjoy it.
You do. We speak to many people who are in a hurry or a rush to get to some other level of knowing. They talk about confusion, they talk about not being clear, they talk about being stuck, even. And the answer is always the same. None of that is actually true in any way whatsoever, because everything does arrive to you exactly as needed, when needed, and when you will reveal it to yourself. If there is something that you are wanting to know or that is not clear to you, it is because there is something else you are wanting more in that moment. And often it is, yes, simply the adventure of trying to figure it out. Your brains do need something to do all day long. They are wonderful computers. They are very capable, but they do get bored very easily. And so you invent issues for yourself to solve. If your inner being were to give all the answers to the computer would get quite surly.
That actually prompted me to ask another question. I think as we are ascending, basically, let's say becoming modern days master on earth, aren't we moving into hot operating beings instead of mind and brain? I definitely feel my mind or my brain is is resting so much more compared with a long time ago. So I think as we let go of limitation, especially I'm talking about emotional healing, etc., I think our brain, our mind gets so much more relaxed.
Yes. What you are perceiving of is the calm that is arriving for no longer having a resistance in your mind of what was already guiding you. So if you look around at your collective, you will notice there are significant levels of aspects that are illogical. There is quite a lot of what you would call stupidity. And your world is quite often not run on what makes sense, but instead on raw emotion. The reason why this is not necessarily being perceived of or presenting in ways that would be pleasing to you is directly because of this mania that your brains have to try to make that raw emotion seem logical. you would be all much better off if you did follow your hearts. But in the emotions arising, the action occurring from a knee-jerk position, and then the brain trying to say, well, I was not wrong, I am right, you are causing all kinds of discomfort for yourselves and others. You are causing more separation and detachment from one another, and that is okay because it is part of the process towards eventually deciding that that is not what you are wanting. But in your case, what you were describing was you are no longer fighting with your heart-based and positive guidance. Therefore, you are no longer needing to justify things that you are feeling other than your brain going, well, I have chosen this because it is what is correct for me. I have chosen this because it was what was resonant for me. I've chosen this because I have faith in my inner being who is guiding me at all times through my emotion by showing me the difference between what does resonate and what does not by using my emotional guidance system. If everyone was doing that, then there would be far less trouble in the world. But you are still in a stage of adolescence as a species where you do need to experiment. You do have the equivalent of your raging hormones, and you are not always in control of your mind. You cannot be in control of your emotions because your emotions are simply information. You cannot be in control of them any more than you can be in control of the, yes, blinking lights on your dashboard if something is up with the car. So what is going on in this now moment is as more of you do come into this understanding that emotions are here to guide you and make or inform you to decisions of what you are ready to let go, what you are ready to adjust in your life, then you will find far more calm within yourselves because you will no longer be in battle with your inner being. But those of you who decide or insist upon being in battle with your inner being will continue to feel suffering, will continue to feel discomfort, and will continue perhaps even, unfortunately, to take action based upon their discomfort as opposed to staying with it, feeling it, and making new choices.
Yes, I love that part so much, as you probably can feel or know, because Jesse, I mean, you know that I love emotional healing so much. I think this is the key for humanity right now, because I think we have so much misunderstanding and we fear our emotions, as you
Yes.
talk about that too. That fear causes to almost instinctively resist any emotion we feel, especially uncomfortable ones, and
Yes.
that makes the situation worse. I'll keep going anyway. I love that so much. I feel there's so much work for me to do. As you know, I want to bring that work to, you know, the ones that I have agreement with, the souls that I have agreement with, to support and guide them into their emotional field so they can free themselves. I have a small question about, as you were saying, a friend of mine, we talk about menopause. I know I listened to one of the videos, someone else asked about that. I wanted to ask you about the symptoms of the common, or like in old, traditionally considered symptoms of menopause, stuff like that. Do we have to experience it, or or is simply is a byproduct or a symptom because people were not processing their emotions or stuck energy?
So no,
Then
there's no
yes.
need to have those specific symptoms. We will also remind you that every transition, whether it be in puberty or in the end of a fertile period, which you are calling menopause, is the natural process for that being's body to go through as they have their seasons. So there are ways in and out of seasons. Of course, as you know, in some parts of the world, there are quite tempestuous ways in and out of seasons, and there are other areas of the world where it is quite calm. In terms of this particular topic, and also we would say female puberty, but more specifically this one, there is very much collective, we will even say mumbo jumbo around aging for women specifically. And as you are deciding that that is no longer appropriate for you, your inner beings and your bodies are collaborating to give you the discomfort, which will eventually allow you to shed the belief systems or the limitations or the ideas around what it means to be a woman who is no longer fertile. And so, as those collective beliefs begin to shed, you will find that miraculously, there will be very natural ways to allow this particular process, which is ultimately no different than any other process in the human body, to become more comfortable for each and every one of you. You will invent permission slips that allow it to be more comfortable. You will understand scientifically ways to allow it to be more comfortable. But it will be also a question of arriving at the point where there is discomfort enough so that it gets enough attention. You will also know that there is a discrepancy between, in areas such as medicine, the focus placed upon the female body as opposed to the male body. It is known that the female body is considered almost a alternate male body. Yes, it has its own issues or situations, but it has not really been studied in a way that is organic to itself. As you evolve, you will continue to advocate and to create situations where the female body begins to get the attention that it does require, as it is a completely different vessel than the male body. Not different in that it is better or worse, but simply has a completely different functionality and systems for completely different purposes. So, as this comes into light and there's more aid and more focus upon this, there will be more situations where there's less symptoms. Now we are also going to address the fact that on an individual level, each woman in a phase of coming towards the end of the reproductive cycle is being asked and presented with the opportunity to truly listen to their bodies in a way that perhaps earlier in their lifetime they were not able to. For example, in your fertile years, your body does have its mechanism to be able to reproduce life. And therefore, much of its resources, whether you become a mother or not ever in your lifetime, are devoted to the collective or to this aspect of reproduction. When menopause does arrive, all of the resources that were devoted to that reproduction are suddenly and often dramatically being restituted to the woman herself. So when you are thinking of symptoms such as hot flashes or brain fog, it is because much of that power, that energy is coming back into the woman. It can manifest as the opposite, as tiredness or aches and pains, but that is more often to do with resistance to that energy. And you will note that also that phase of life in a woman in this particular collective's experience is often met with much sorrow, such as the children have left the nest, such as I do not know what to do with myself now that I have no one to serve. But it is also a beautiful moment in the life of a woman to begin to truly serve themselves.
Wow, I love that so much. I love that so much. I personally don't feel, I don't know yet. That's also a fun question. I don't know. I don't feel I will have children this lifetime. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, let's not go there. But I have one last question, and I will let you go and come back to Jessie.
Yes.
Reiki, prana, and chi, are they the same thing?
Yes.
Oh, that's simple.
Yes.
So, okay. Okay, so then connecting back to what I was talking about one of the ascended masters channeling about it's all my energy. Of course, that means me as a non-physical consciousness aspect of the consciousness. So when we do Reiki, so basically, according to the master teaching, saying you do not give, you cannot give others your energy. So when we do Reiki, that universal energy, can you differentiate, or how do we understand that universal energy when we do Reiki? For example, I do Reiki healing, whether onto myself or give it to others. It's different from the energy that's manifested as everything in my reality. are the same energy.
No, it is not different. It is that you have decided, as you are the creator, to focus that energy, much like you can take lenses and create out of light a laser beam. So it can be seen as that. It is the same energy. It is concentrated perhaps in that moment through your will and through the will of either yourself, in the case where you're doing a self-healing, or in the case of someone else. You have a will to focus that energy, to focus upon that energy with your intention and use the magic of your intention, which of course also is just an aspect of that energy, to direct that particular intention of healing into the space or into the being that you are wanting to heal. Much of your experience is far more metaphorical or symbolic than you would believe it to be, because everything in your experience is simply an idea of what is occurring. It is simply a screen that is playing out in front of your eyes. Therefore, when you are spending some time setting yourself up to do Reiki, it is, yes, 100% true that it works, but it is also 100% an illusion. So you can choose in each moment which you will focus upon. And in the case of energy healing practices, it will do you well to focus upon it being very practical way to avoid, for example, other types, or to complement other types of healing for yourselves.
Yes. Oh, I love it so much. Thank you. That's just such a masterful point of view, because yes, it's just an idea. It's all about intention. It's about experiencing it. It's the idea of experiencing it or experiencing it. Thank you so much.
We thank
I
you.
love it so much.
And we love you so much, and we leave you with the love and the light of 1,000 suns. A nine.
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed that clip. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, leave a comment, and engage with this content as much as possible. See you again soon.